Yeah, I think labs are really a sticking point for a lot of parents, but in a lot of homeschooling families, you have several siblings, and it's really a fun thing to do with your siblings. I remember my daughter taking um, chemistry, and her 5-year younger brother was her lab partner, and so she really wasn't that interested in science, but he really was. So they made a really good team because she was managing the supplies and everything, and he was actually doing most of it for her, and then she would write it up. So I mean, there's a lot of interactivity that you can have with labs. I found when I started teaching my children at home, because I homeschooled for many years, that labs are a great way to get kids excited about science. I mean, they're a lot of fun, and you don't have to worry about being too particular about it in the younger years, but they can get comfortable with just writing up maybe what you were trying to find out, what you did, and how it turned out. And that's pretty much what, the hypothesis testing that you're doing in the high school sciences. Um, but it is an area that can be very difficult for parents to navigate. And so as you get into these sciences that require labs like chemistry and biology, it's a really good idea to either be involved in a co-op with those classes offered, where those classes are offered, or get involved with an online school where you have an instructor that can lead the students through that process. And then, as you were saying, Kristen, the parent can take a step back, because by the time they're in high school, the students should be able to manage to do a lab and follow instructions step by step, which usually in a good classroom setting or a good instructor will give you pretty solid step-by-step instructions.
And I think one thing to remember too, most parents are probably remembering labs from college or high school. So they have that structured lab idea in their mind. And so remember when you're working with elementary or middle school students that they're just getting into this. They're not doing these complex college level labs. And the emphasis there should be letting them ask questions and test theories and see what they can figure out. What happens if we change this, or if we add more of that, what's going to happen? And really, that's a good way too to get kids drawn into science, because no kid says, I want to be a scientist when I grow up because I like reading. Well, I guess there's probably some kids, because I love reading science textbooks. It's because they want to see how things work, and they want to know how they can change things, and they can have that control that most little kids don't get. And so when they get to do a science experiment, it's a chance for them to change variables and see, what happens if we drop it from higher up, or if we, fill it half full with water instead of totally full with water. How does that change things? So it can be hard sometimes, especially if you're a very neat person, to let your kids just get wild with labs. But if you have to take them outside and just let them test things, because that's how kids are going to really learn and get interested in science more.